Good evening, everyone. I am Tanis and I will be presenting on question 6 for tutorial 5. Question 6 says, what is interest rate risk? Based on my understanding, interest rate risk is basically the probability of a decline in the value of a bond resulting from unexpected fluctuation in interest rate. So basically we are saying that if the interest rate increase, then the bond will decrease, and if the interest rate decrease, then the bond value will increase. The second part of the question says, which bond has more interest rate risk, an annual payment of 1 year or a 10-year bond? The 10-year bond have more interest rate risk since it have a longer maturity period, and therefore when the 1-year bond can be reinvested due to its low rate of interest rate risk, the 10-year bond will take 10 years to reach maturity date or period, right? So yes, that's
Okay, thank you, Tanis. We will now be hearing views from Brittany Banks and Damali Brown on this same topic, same question.
Hi, I'm Damali Brown and I'll be explaining what interest rate risk is. So interest rate risk, it's a risk of change in the price of bonds due to the change in the market interest rate. So the price of the bond has a negative relationship with the market interest rate. So therefore, if the market interest rate rises, the price of the bond will decrease. So if for example, you have invested in some bonds, and you intend to sell them after a few months, the interest rates will rise. So therefore, the bond will now worth less than what you initially paid for it.
Good day, my name is Brittany Ebanks and I'll be doing the second section of question 6, which states which bond has more interest rate risk, an annual payment 1-year bond or a 10-year bond? And the answer to that is that the 10-year bond will have more interest rate risk. And then it asks why. So the 10-year bond has more risk than a 1-year bond because of the maturity period. This means that if the market rate increase, the price of the 10-year bond will decrease. It has more risk than a 1-year bond over the period of time. So the longer the persons would get to pay back is where the interest will decrease, which would not be beneficial to the business. Thank you.
Thank you, Damali and Brittany. We are now going to hear from another pair of students. We're going to hear from Michael Paul and Kimberly Lowe, their views on this question. All right, take it away, Michael and Kimberly.
Michael Paul and myself, Kimberly Lowe, will be doing number 6 from tutorial sheet 5. The question asks, what is an interest rate risk? Which bond has more interest rate risk, an annual payment, 1-year bond, or a 10-year bond, and why? What is an interest rate risk? An interest rate risk is the probability of a decline in the value of bonds as the interest rate changes. Simply put, it is the risk that states that changes in the interest rate may reduce the value of the bond.
The 10-year bond has more interest rate risk. This is because the 10-year bond has a longer maturity and so the change in value may be greater. A 1-year bond with an annual payment has a lower interest rate risk because its price level is less sensitive to that of the 10-year bond.
Okay, so thank you, Michael and Kimberly. I will now just add my 2 cents to the discussion about why the long-term bonds have a greater impact or greater level of interest rate risk than the shorter term bond. Right? So here we go. So the basic principle. Bond value is the present value of the future interest payments and the par value which we will receive at maturity. Keyword being present value. Now the basic present value formula is the present value equals future value over 1 plus I to the n. If we look at the divisor there, you realize the interest rate is in the denominator and also the power that we will raise it to. So let's look at some examples. If we are finding the present value of $100 2 years from now using an interest rate of 5%, this is what we would have. 100 over 1.05 to the power 2. The denominator would be 1.025, and when we divide, we will get $90.70. Now, if we increase that rate from 5% to 9%, the answer becomes $84.16, giving us a change of $6.54. On the other hand, if it's a 10-year period that we're looking at, let's look at the impact of the change. So look at the divisor here. The power here is 2, the power here is 10, and we are raising 1.05 to the 2 as compared to 1.05 to the 10. And then for the change, for this 4% increase in the rate, we are raising that additional 4% to the power 10. So you see that there's going to be a bigger change in the denominator when the power is higher. Right? So for interest rate changes, when there's a higher power, because of a larger time period, we're going to have a bigger denominator, and as such, the impact on the present value, the impact in terms of change will be greater. So if you notice, for the 10 years, the change here is $19.15, a bigger change than for the 2-year period. And that's simply the impact of time value of money. Alright guys, so just remember, shorter term, less interest rate risk. Longer term, more interest rate risk. Why? Simply because of the power of time value of money. The cash flows for the long-term bond are exposed for a longer period as compared to the shorter term bond, which in this case, the 1-year bond, the cash flow is only exposed for 1 year. Right? So changes are only raised to the power 1 as compared to the 10-year bond, where the change in the rate is going to be basically raised to the power 10. So bigger impact. Alright, all the best guys. I'm going to close off here and we'll move on to the next question.